Hello and welcome to Elemental Hit of Spectrum 02 Hero Edition. Once again, another build guide. This one I am still enjoying in endgame and later on. I am currently upgrading the gear as we speak as well, just so I can get something that can clear Sanctum pretty easily and that I can do other bosses with. This build can clear tier 17 maps, however some modifiers are iffy and game knowledge is required, but the build does not lack single target DPS. I have managed to kill Uber Cortex and Uber Shaper, however, was unsuccessful with Maven as I need more practice. Now, this is just a normal Searing Exarch as you can see here, so you can see the boss damage. This is before I did the upgrade for Mageblood, and I will show the gameplay before that, and I will show the gameplay with Headhunter. So without further ado, here's the regular gear. So this gear is what's going to be in the PoB and everything else as per usual, and we can talk about that in a second. But let me first explain what Elemental Hit of Spectrum is. Elemental Hit regular gem is a gem which fires projectiles based on your fire, lightning, cold damage, and it converts to those elements and it fires only one element at a time. So it fires one fire, one lightning, one cold, one fire, one cold. It always alternates. It never follows two of the same elements back to back. However, Elemental Hit of the Spectrum uses all three elements to combine into a single shot. Therefore, it works phenomenally well with an elemental bow, and it works extremely well with a Trinity support. When you apply those shots, you apply ailments, and it works great with ailments. Similar to how Elemental Hit works, where you get more damage per ailment on the enemy, Elemental Hit of Spectrum has the same thing. So we are actually inflicting 5 ailments on an enemy, which are from Skitterbots, Shocked and Chilled, and on the regular Interrogation Jewel that switches our ailments to a different type, we are doing Scorched, Sapped, and Brittle. Those are the additional 3 ailments that we do, so in total we do 5. There are a few gameplay tips and tricks that I will show you as well that actually work and that I use, but you can also see the gameplay here, how it is done. Now, the question is still here, whether or not would you use this skill or Lightning Arrow. Now, a lot of people would prefer Lightning Arrow for clear, and they would be correct. Lightning Arrow, whenever it hits an enemy, it hits other 5 enemies around it, and it has more AoE clear. However, Elemental Hit of the Spectrum does not have that. But in other avenue, we have Elemental Hit of Spectrum annihilating single target DPS versus Lightning Arrow, even with Val Lightning Arrow, as Val Lightning Arrow is a form of a burst. Once you run out, then you have to gather it again, so you won't have as much damage. Now, you can, of course, use Lightning Arrow for AoE, and then Elemental Hit of Spectrum for single target. I just love the gem so much, I use it for both. The clear does not lack, especially once you add a Headhunter, you won't even notice the difference. Now, there are a few things you can also add. You can add the chain as a corrupt on your quiver, and that gives you pseudo 1 ascendancy point. But other than that, it's completely built the same as Lightning Arrow. So for anyone who enjoys Lightning Arrow, it's safe to go to Elemental Hit of the Spectrum if you feel your build is not doing enough single target damage. Now, as it comes to bosses, you use two setups. You use one setup, which is your AoE shot, and one setup, which is your single target shot. Now, I will show the PoB here that I have. The PoB is basically, I've imported my own, and I've imported, like with all my guides, there's everything to follow through. However, I just want to turn your attention slightly towards one of these things, which is going to be what I do on single target. Now for AoE, we have Ele Hit of Spectrum, Inspiration, Trinity, crit damage, Ele Hit with attacks returning projectiles. You can do, instead of Ele damage with attacks, you can do Mirage Archer. However, I will most likely do Awakened Elemental so I don't get Ele Reflect, so I can Regex something different on the maps, but that's completely optional. Mirage Archer is roughly a little bit more damage, but the Ele Reflect immunity is actually phenomenal, so I would use that. But anyways, when it comes to single target, we have here a gem that is not usually used, which is Elemental Focus. It's not usually used with like these archer types. The reason why I use this gem is there is a slight shenanigan you can do with Ele Hit of the Spectrum. You can do slightly with Lightning Arrow, however, Lightning Arrow does not gain benefit based on the amount of ailments you have on the enemy. That's why this setup is, in my opinion at least, superior. So what do you do here? Awakened Elemental Focus gives you +1 to level of supported elemental skill gems. It's irrelevant if it's awakened or not, that's just a little bit more damage. You can do regular Elemental Focus, but it gives you more elemental damage, supported skills cannot inflict elemental ailments, and they deal 10% increased elemental damage. Now, once you get awakened and it gets to level 5, it becomes way more potent than anything else you can fit in. But on a boss, you want to do AoE first, as you can see me do here. So I do AoE, and then once I get close to the boss, I will do my single target with Ele Focus. Now, the deal here is you apply elemental ailments with your AoE, and then because you have applied elemental ailments, your Ele Hit of Spectrum is going to deal way more damage, but you cannot reapply those ailments. Those ailments will still stay, but every few seconds you just have to press your AoE once or twice and you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely golden. You can see here that the boss does not even stand a chance. It's completely fine. Now, Elemental Hit says this, 15% more damage per elemental ailment as we do 5. That's 75% more damage. That's way more than Lightning Arrow can ever get. So there is that. Now, when it comes to the tree itself, I have done here the similar thing you saw in my previous build, which was Cleave of Rage and Split Arrow. Sorry, it took me a bit. Split Arrow, Gladiator, Bleed Bow, Gladiator. And those are sorted into acts. So every act here follows what you take. There are some changes later on, so pay attention. Once you get to like Act 10, white maps with suppression, everything is titled, labeled, everything is said, even with the steps 1 through 6, what you do after the maps, including the skills that are done, Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10, and gems to use with notes and game setup. Please do read the notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the comments, but please do read the notes. Then there are items, which are also, this page is empty, that was just for the initial tree, disregard that page. Act 1 to 2, when there's gear, and adding upgrades, or pardon, this is 1 to 2, Act 1 to 10, then there's 3, the 4, 5, 6, these follow the tree. So if you do gear set 5, and you do tree 5, it will basically tell you what you have there with those things. However, you still have to follow the upgrade path, which I've actually done here, so you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to think about it. You can just go. And of course, in the end, I have endgame gear I wore before Headhunter and Mage Blood, endgame gear with Headhunter, which changed slightly, and endgame gear with Mage Blood, with a little caveat that you should turn on these flasks. Now, the build does, I don't even know how much damage. It killed Uber bosses, like who even cares? But if we are going with this, Mage Blood, are my flasks active? Yes. and we go single target. In configuration, you will see that these are red. The reason why these are red is because we cannot apply these ailments with our single target. However, if you click AoE, these will be applied. So then we go back to single. That's 9.3 million around that. Projectile travel distance 50. There's one little note as well. Lowest resonance count. We do not have resonance when we fire single target shots. We have resonance when we fire AoE shots. Those reduce elemental resistances. You should just input the number 50, and that's your AoE damage. That's also written in the notes. Now, regarding gear. Let's spend some time to talk about gear. Gems are there, but I will go there. When you first get into acts, you just want to get your regular gear. Everything has a note, so please do read through these. I've spent some time doing this, so please do read. You want to buy a cheap high-risk truth amulet. You don't care what it is. You can buy cheap tamings. Those are absolutely fine. Those will boost resistances, damage, and so on. A Stygian Vice or a regular belt. This is where you fill in your attributes like strength, intelligence, and so on. You can do boots, gloves, etc. Abyssal sockets in the trees. That works too. So this is basically this tree. Now you want to get spells suppressed as quickly as possible, which we get with the tree here, with added points here, inveterate, and of course with entrench, the whole wheel there. We basically get full spell suppressed there. Once you start getting your first upgrades, which is suppression, you get Hyri's Ire. That gives you suppression. There's some description here, how much you actually need. Then you click number 2, yellow maps, prep for cluster, or you can go with red maps Hyri plus cluster. You can get that too. Now, the next set would be adding medium clusters as well. So that would be this one, adding medium clusters, and that explains how the tree changes. After you add those clusters, next investment are some expensive upgrades, which can... Oh, okay. Expensive upgrades, which I haven't added here. That's great. I'll have to re-add those. But if you go, oh no, actually they are added. They are added, but as jewels. I'm sorry. They're added, but as jewels, because jewels are very expensive. You add Thread of Hope Massive. Thread of Hope is a jewel that gives you ability to allocate passives that are in the blue circle, in a radius in the blue circle, without them being connected to the tree. And as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we have those 10. You can also do this one, Will of Blades, if you want to. That's completely fine. And this is the Anoint on the neck. That comes there, and that anoint is very cheap. That's one expensive jewel. That can be multiple divines. It can be more. They can be less. But you want to get with -10 or -11, maybe -12 to all elemental resistances. That's the lowest amount that you want to go. Like +/-3. Don't go under -13 unless your budget is extremely slim. But if that's the case, pay attention to your elemental resistances. When it comes to big cluster, you want a regular increased damage with bows cluster with arcing shot, calamitous, and martial prowess, because more crit, good. Medium cluster jewels are both increased projectile damage. They are not the crit ones. They're increased projectile damage with aerodynamics and repeater. Both are aerodynamics and repeater, which gives us projectiles pierce an additional target, making that 2, and repeater increased projectile damage and attack speed. That's because we remove this. These are the reason why we remove that, and we add more damage somewhere else. You add interrogation for Secrets of Suffering, so that we cannot ignite, chill, and freeze, but we can ignite, chill, freeze, or shock, pardon, but we can do Scorch, Brittle, and Sapped, where we then add chill and shock in Vice Skitterbots. Those are expensive upgrades. They can be very expensive. And the most expensive one, which I've also added in the notes here, caution, they can be expensive. I chose the cheapest one, which I did, is the Lethal Pride. Now, this one gives you strength with every single node. However, on notable passives, it gives us different bonuses. This one has 10% chance to intimidate, which is important. I will explain that in a second. And double damage somewhere. There you go, 5% chance to deal double damage, which is a very, very good node. We're firing 5 projectiles more with barrage setup, so there's a bit of a chance that we get double damage. The more double damage, the more expensive the jewel. Now, how do you search for these? As with all my videos, click on Find Timeless Jewel, you click Lethal Pride, because we want Lethal Pride, you click on Any, because Any Conqueror, Jewel Socket Acrobatics, filter nodes, the nodes which we have taken, node distance is 0 because we have taken them. We search for nodes, double damage, intimidate, and it's written here. And those you apply in the copy paste, then you go into the trade. I've done that for you so that we've picked lethal prides, the ones that have at least 1 double damage and 1 intimidate. You want intimidate. Intimidate gives you 10%. Enemies take 10% more attack damage. So that means we deal 10% more attack damage. When it comes to attack damage, because we are attack damage based on our single target, we have volatility. Volatility supported skills deal 58% more maximum attack damage and 69% less. Which means if we hit for 100, now well, between 100 and 120, now the window is minus 69 of 100, that's 31, and then 178. So it spreads the window. Basically, we want to hit a lot. So we get the higher highs all the time. Now, in regards to other investment, Ailment Immunity is done via boots. You can read this. I will make a crafting video in some time. I'm sorry, busy. Can't manage to make everything. Really sorry about that one. But we get Ailment Immunity with the regular Storm Shroud Jewel. Everything is written in the notes. Do not panic. And with the final gear, which is endgame gear I used before Headhunter and Mageblood, that basically has a weapon which has 1500 LA DPS. This weapon was 12 divines. I added Harvest Craft for attack speed per quality. I added Synthesis Craft because it wasn't a fractured item, which gave me intelligence and chance to intimidate enemies. And I have corrupted the item to have 30% quality so I can get more attack speed out of it. Now, this one, the better bow would be attack speed, crit strike chance, and +2 projectiles for the spine bow. Otherwise, or another thing, you don't really need it. Weapon 2 is a quiver. Quiver you can buy between 1 and 3 divines. Those are regular stat stick damage things. Crit chance, crit multi, proj speed, damage with bows, and flat damage, attack speed. You can get 1 extra arrow, you can get pierce, whatever you'd like. Helmet is one important thing. Helmet has chance to suppress spell damage, which is a fractured mod. And I have rolled this one with an essence, which is 9% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. I have described this process in Ailment Immunity Additional Gear, how to craft this helmet and what to do and what to get, and also how to get the implicit modifiers. Implicit modifiers are Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds modifiers, and those modifiers will allow you to actually put in another aura. That aura is going to be Anger. So we are going to have total of 3 auras. One is going to be Grace, one is going to be Anger, one is going to be Skitterbots, and we get the 4th one for free from our necklace, which is High Risk Truth, level 30 Precision, which we will change once we get to Omni build, but don't even think about that one for now. That's like more than 100 divine investment. The build works phenomenally well. We just added Headhunter, and Headhunter is the same price as the bow. So you're going to annihilate maps anyways. And this build can clear any boss that's not Uber. I haven't tested Uber without Mageblood. That's completely... It can clear regular bosses, no problem. Now, when it comes to the tamings are great rings, which give you elemental damage, elemental resistances, increased damage with hits and ailments per freeze, shock, or ignite on enemy. We just do shock. Basically, we don't do freeze, we do chill, but that gives you a little bit of extra damage, and elemental damage with attack skills too. Body armor, High-Res Ire is your mandatory item, gives you a lot of added cold damage, chance to suppress spell damage. Chill duration is irrelevant, a lot of evasion, which helps a lot. Gloves, are your standard gloves, basically stat stick, whatever you want to do on them. I made mine with a lot of evasion rating and a lot of intelligence. That works. Boots are the process that I've explained in the notes in the previous section, ailment immunity, additional things, how to craft those. Belt is just your standard Stygian Vice with a lot of resistances. However, one little thing to notice, when you add a Headhunter, you will need more resistances. I've added Calandra's Touch to mirror the ring. This ring was 2.5 to 3 divines. That has a lot of elemental resistances and chaos resistances so that we can get at least chaos positive here, and the chaos positive is plus 22. So in retrospect, this build is elemental ailment immune. This build is fully spell suppressed. This build also has a lot of evasion. It has Val Grace. It has damage from anger. You can also add, instead of this jewel with crit multi, you can also add crit multi with anger and with precision, but that's very expensive. This one wasn't that expensive. It was a few divines. But overall, my impressions with this build are the build is great. The upgrades for the build are Headhunter for AoE map clearing. The other upgrade is Mage Blood for more damage when it comes to all-arounder things, as you can start doing uber bosses without any problem with a Mage Blood with the current gear that I'm using. I've been using what is it? It is the same ring and Calandra's Touch plus Mage Blood. I haven't optimized my build. I have too many resistances at this point, so that means I can remove one of these rings and I will still be fine with resistances. This just doubles the other ring, and I think they're still cheap to buy. So I suggest buying a Calandra's Touch. However, this league has been great in regards to AoE clearing maps and everything that you do in regards to content. The content that I would suggest strongly: open maps, Headhunter, just go slam. If you go the narrow corridors, ascendancies will change. So instead of going far shot, if you go narrow corridors like waste pool map, you will just get ricochet. You can respec these always just by using refund points. It's five refunds per click, and you can just respec those points into ricochet and endless munitions, and you will be golden. So overall, a very, very good build. The starter investment can be less than a divine. I've also written how and what modifiers to follow in the PoB, so please read the notes. And of course, if you have any questions, you can come over the streams, which are almost daily, one day off a week because of my evening class. You can ask me any questions. You can see how we play the build. I'm currently looking to upgrade for Omniscience and to push the build even further because I want to try to clear tier 17 maps with Mage Blood. You can. I want to clear tier 17 maps comfortably, and I also want to clear uber bosses and hit level 100 after a while. I'm currently level 98. But that will be it for this Zero to Hero edition, another build in Necropolis League. A very, very good and strong build with the new gem elemental hit of Spectrum. So Lightning Arrow users, rejoice, there is a solution for your single target worries. So if you've liked this video, please do give it a like, do sub if you don't mind. Please, there's a lot of you who are unsubbed to the channel. Please do sub. It supports the channel greatly. We are chasing 1,000 subs right now to get that probably verification check mark is on 1,000 if I'm not mistaken. But that would be great. By the end of this league is the current goal. There will be more guides in the future. I am preparing the Necropolis guide as we speak as well. If you want to check out the streams, they are here on YouTube and on twitch.tv/heavyheals/heavyheals. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. Just please don't look at the PoB, see how something doesn't match up, and then post in the comments below. I see you, I know who you are, there's notes for you as well. So have a good one, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.